Ah, yes. This is Colin Kaepernick, the second-rate quarterback turned woke, who's now part of the free agency team, where he will likely remain for the remainder of his career. And since he abandoned the National Football League for the National Couch Association, Kaepernick has used his free time being irrelevant, trying to be the hero in a different league, known as the Activism League, America's new favorite pastime, civil rights activism, to be exact. And if you thought he had proven himself to be much better at that than at tossing the old pigskin, think again. Back in 2020, he announced that he, quote, teamed up with Ben & Jerry's to serve up joy on the journey to justice. Today, we're excited to introduce the World. Change the World, a new non-dairy flavor that hit shelves in early 2021. 100% of my proceeds, Kaepernick says, will go to @YourRightsCamp, with matching support from Ben & Jerry's. Sounds like Ben & Jerry's is on track to give him social justice MVP, doesn't it? That is until you learn that Ben & Jerry's actually served him up a scoop of sabotage instead. Here's a list of reported brands that exploit migrant children. This reported from the New York Times. And if you look closely there, you see Ben & Jerry's made that list. The company that claims to be woke and progressive and that proclaims its opposition to child labor apparently has its suppliers use migrant child labor in milk production. So Mr. Justice partnered with them and donated his proceeds to the Know Your Rights camp. You can't make this stuff up. Joining me now to weigh in is director at MRC-TV, Eric Shiner. I don't know, Eric. I don't think it's a good look when you're saying, well, I'm all about justice. I'm going to kneel and raise my fist because we need a reckoning in America. And then you're doing deals with people who exploit migrant children. What do you think?
A new flavor, maybe. Bitter irony should be introduced. It doesn't taste so good. It's a little bitter. Colin Kaepernick was happy about his situation with Ben & Jerry's and the endorsement and the Know Your Rights campaign, which is out to help black and brown communities. But he's been strangely silent since this information has come out from the New York Times that Ben & Jerry's has been involved with child labor, especially child labor of migrants, migrant communities. So all of a sudden, Kaepernick doesn't really have a lot to say about this. He hasn't talked about it on his social media. So it'll be interesting. You know, Ben & Jerry's was actually quoted in the New York Times story where they had their head of values-led sourcing, because that's a title. She said if migrant children needed to work full-time, well, it was preferable for them to have jobs at a well-monitored workplace. So I guess, it's okay if they, other than it's illegal, to have them work after 7 p.m. if they're under 16 or longer than 3 hours. But, this article, featured 12 hours days and kids that were worn out. So, Ben & Jerry's kind of serving up something different than what they try to push with their ideology.